Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Understanding Business 2024. Chapter 6. Narrated by Omar Mohsen Ibrahim Fouad. Entrepreneurship and Starting a Small Business. Page 144. Learning Objectives. After you have read and studied this chapter, you should be able to LO 6-1 explain why people take the risks of entrepreneurship, list the attributes of successful entrepreneurs, and describe entrepreneurial teams, entrepreneurs, and home and web-based businesses. LO 6-2 discuss the importance of small business to the American economy and summarize the major causes of small business failure. 6-3 LO 6-3 summarize ways to learn about how small businesses operate. LO 6-4 analyze what it takes to start and run a small business. LO 6-5 outline the advantages and disadvantages small businesses have in entering global markets. Page 145. Getting to know Mike Evans, founder of Alibi Cookies. The onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 brought all sorts of businesses to a halt, especially companies that depend on bringing people together in public. For Mike Evans, a DJ and party bus operator who also managed restaurants, this meant his working life was put on indefinite hiatus. One day, when he was cooped up at home and bored, Evans scrolled through social media and came upon an interesting article about Japanese vending machines. He marveled at their ability to distribute everything from sushi to lattes, which inspired a thought: what if I put cookies in a vending machine that could keep them warm? After doing some research, Evans was shocked to discover that no one in the United States had attempted this concept before. Instead, American vending machines were usually stocked with the same assortment of drinks and dry snacks. Besides standing out with a unique concept, Evans also wanted to take advantage of the growing trend of contactless food pickup. His company, Alibi Cookies, launched its first cookie bot by September 2020, followed by more machines and multiple storefront locations in the years that followed. With Evans' business now established and growing fast, he plans to be in it for the long haul. I feel like a lot of owners get out of touch with their business, said Evans. They reach a point where they can hire someone to run it for them, and then they forget that they were in the person. They reach a point where they can hire someone to run it for them, and then they forget that they were the person who invented the recipe. I never want to be that type of owner. I'll be 70 years old, and I hope I'm still in my store. Evans traces his love of baking and technology back to his parents. My mom was a chef, the best chef I know, and my dad owns a construction company and is a master electrician, said Evans. So I kind of had the best of both worlds. I would say, as far as combining engineering and being a chef. Still, he did not have an easy time growing up on the north side of St. Louis, Missouri. I was an inner city kid faced with the challenges of being black and being in the city, and I'm not going to lie, it was hard. He knew that working diligently could help him overcome life's obstacles, so he turned his passion for cooking into a career working in restaurant kitchens and as a chef. Evans Also gathered early entrepreneurial experience by DJing and driving a party bus until the pandemic threw a wrench in his plans. After he found the article on Japanese vending machines, however, Evans got to work right away on his new cookie venture. He created his first prototype by removing the cooling components of a mini fridge and installing a heater instead. Convinced that he had a solid concept on his hands, Evans then reached out to a manufacturer overseas to make his dream a reality. I contacted a builder in Japan and I said, "Hey, this is my idea. This is what I want it to do, and this is how I want it to be designed," said Evans. We got to talking and went back and forth a bit. There was a language barrier for sure, but we worked things out. He placed his brand new cookie bot in the Dogtown neighborhood of St. Louis, earning $40,000. After just a few months, Evans took this money and immediately invested in a physical storefront in the same area, initiating a rapid expansion strategy he followed in his early years. Evans invests his profits back into Alibi Cookies so he can maintain multiple locations at the highest possible level of quality. Alibi's physical stores are usually located near cookie bots so that customers can come in for deluxe sized items and cookie shakes. His revenues exceeded $1 million by 2023 as he continued to add more cookie bots and storefronts to his portfolio. Ultimately, Evans hopes to have hundreds of machines and adjacent stores throughout the country distributing sweet treats. We have a recipe that we can do across all these stores, and we do it extremely well, said Evans. Entrepreneurs like Mike Evans take big risks in order to reap big rewards. As you read about such risk takers in this chapter, maybe you'll be inspired to become an entrepreneur yourself. Sources: Cheryl Bayer, Alibi Cookies, and the Genius of a Warm Cookie Vending Machine. Riverfront Times, RFT.com, January 18, 2022. Mabel Swen, Industry Innovator, Mike Evans, Owner, Alibi Cookies, Feast.com, January 10th, 2023. Connor Hart, St. Louis Character, Mike Evans turns his dream of a warm cookie vending machine into a growing business. St. Louis Business Journal, bizjournals.com, February 9th, 2023. Samantha Doriska, 33-year-old Mike Evans, made $40,000 from a cookie vending machine, then invested it to open a storefront. Afrotech, afrotech.com, February 10th, 2023. Alibi Cookies, alibicookies.com, accessed March 2023. Courtesy of Alibi Cookies, page 146. The founder of this company opened a candy company in Chicago, but it failed. He tried again in New York and failed again, but he didn't give up. And today, his company is one of the largest candy companies in the world. Name that company. Find the answer in the chapter. The job-creating power of entrepreneurs in the United States. Today, most new graduates know it's unlikely they will get a job in a large corporation and stay 30 years. For those who want more control over their destinies, working in or starting a small business makes sense. Entrepreneurship is accepting the risk of starting and running a business. One of the major issues in the United States continues to be the need to create more jobs. You can begin to understand the job-creating power of entrepreneurs when you look at some of the great U.S. entrepreneurs from the past and the present. The history of the United States is the history of its entrepreneurs. Consider just a few of the many who have helped shape the U.S. economy. Consider just a few of the many who have helped shape the U.S. economy. DuPont, which manufactures thousands of products under such brand names as Teflon and Lycra, was started in 1802 by French immigrant Eleuthère Irénée DuPont de Nemours. Some 18 shareholders provided $36,000 in startup money. Avon, the familiar beauty products retailer, started in 1886 with $500 David McConnell borrowed from a friend. George Eastman launched photography giant Kodak in 1880 with a $3,000 investment. Procter & Gamble, now a multinational marketer of household products, was formed in 1837 by William Procter, James Gamble, and a total of $7,000 in capital. Ford Motor Company began with an investment of $28,000 by Henry Ford and 11 associates. Amazon began with investments by founder Jeff Bezos, family and friends. Bezos' parents invested $300,000, a huge portion of their retirement account. Today, they are billionaires. In the late 1970s, Debbie Fields, founder of Miss Fields Cookies, brought her business plan and her cookies to banks asking for a loan. They all ate the cookies and said no. Finally, she got a loan, but at a whopping 21% interest. Jungle Jim's international market. Wacky grocer Jungle Jim Bonamino may like to put on costumes and roller skate through his Jungle Jim's international market, but he's serious when it comes to his business. Instead of competing on price against big firms like Walmart, Jungle Jim's competes on product variety. For example, a case holding 1,500 kinds of hot sauce rests beneath an antique fire engine. Why do you think customers might remain loyal to Jungle Jim's? These stories have much in common. One or a couple of entrepreneurs had a good idea, borrowed some money, and started a business. That business now employs thousands of people and helps the country prosper. The United States has plenty of entrepreneurial talent. Names such as Mark Zuckerberg, Meta Platforms, Michael Dell, Dell Incorporated, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Howard Schultz, Starbucks, Jack Dorsey, Twitter, Elon Musk, Tesla, and Rihanna, Fenty Beauty, have become as familiar as those of the great entrepreneurs of the past. The spotlight on small business box highlights several young entrepreneurs who started businesses while still in school. Page 147, Open Spotlight on Small Businesses. Starting a successful business while still in school. Although most people finish their education before jumping into their own businesses, some aspiring entrepreneurs dive right in while they're still in school. Here are just a few examples of young entrepreneurs who found success in their college years. Omar Suleiman and Nick Friedman purchased an old cargo van while attending the University of Miami and formed a moving company, which they modestly named College Hunks. Within a few years, they commanded a small fleet of vehicles and rebranded as College Hunks, hauling junk and moving. This time, the Hunks, part of their name, also broadcasted their company values: honest, uniformed, nice, knowledgeable service. College Hunks began franchising in 2007 and now maintains more than 150 locations across the country. Stephanie Kaplan Lewis, Annie Wang, and Windsor Hanger Western met at Harvard University while running a student publication for women on campus as their work started to gain traction with college women outside of Harvard. The three came up with the idea to create a similar project that appealed to audiences nationwide. The result of their efforts was her campus media, which won Harvard's prestigious business plan competition in 2009. The company has since branched out across a number of media outlets and brands, including marketing services that connect firms with campus influencers and ambassadors. Courtesy of her campus media, Seth Berkowitz baked big batches of cookies in his dorm room kitchen at the University of Pennsylvania so he could crisscross campus late into the night selling his wares for a tasty profit. He opened his first insomnia cookie store 3 years later, and by 2022, the company had more than 230 locations operating nationwide. In the coming years, Insomnia plans to open more stores, both domestically and in foreign markets like the UK and Canada. We're thrilled to soon be delivering our warm, delicious cookies and desserts across the globe and welcome even more fans into our cult-like community, said Berkowitz. Matt Cesarnicki, Bennett Byerley, and Andre Monteiro started Verb Energy in their dorm kitchen at Yale University, where they wanted to make delicious snacks that could help them stay awake during long study sessions. After experimenting with about 127 recipes, they settled on a stable of core flavors that each contains a kick of organic tea with as much caffeine as an espresso. Sources: Verb Energy launches in Costco, Nosh.com, December 20th, 2022. Ben Colley, Insomnia Cookies, Dreams of 4,000 Stores Worldwide, QSR Magazine, QSRmagazine.com. February 16th, 2023. Insomnia Cookies announces plans for global expansion and new U.S. stores in 2023. Business Wire, businesswire.com. February 21st, 2023. College Hunks Hauling Junk, collegehunkshaulingjunk.com. Accessed March 2023. Her Campus Media, hercampusmedia.com. Accessed March 2023. Why people take the entrepreneurial challenge. LO6-1. Explain why people take the risks of entrepreneurship. List the attributes of successful entrepreneurs and describe entrepreneurial teams, entrepreneurs, and home and web-based businesses. Taking the risks of starting a business can be scary and thrilling at the same time. One entrepreneur described it as almost like bungee jumping. You might be scared, but if you watch 6 other people do it and they survive, then you're more likely to do it yourself. Here are some reasons people are willing to take the entrepreneurial risk. Page 148. Opportunity. The opportunity to prosper is a tremendous lure. Many people, including those new to this country, may not have the skills for today's complex organizations, but they do have the initiative and drive to work the long hours demanded by entrepreneurship. The same is true of many corporate managers who leave corporate life by choice or after downsizing. to run businesses on their own. Others include an increasing number Others include an increasing number of millennials, women, people who are members of ethnic minority groups, people who are older, and people with disabilities find that starting their own businesses offers them more opportunities than working for others. The massive layoffs and the need to maintain social distance during the COVID-19 pandemic prompted many people to start their own businesses rather than wait for former employers to hire them back. In fact, entrepreneurship increased over 24% during the pandemic. Profit is another reason to become an entrepreneur. Bill Gates, who co-founded Microsoft, is one of the richest people not just in the United States but in the world. Independence. Many entrepreneurs simply do not enjoy working for someone else. They want to be the ones to make the decisions that lead to their success or failure. They want to be free to roam, create, work, and delegate. Challenge. Some people believe that entrepreneurs are excitement junkies who thrive on risk. Entrepreneurs take moderate, calculated risks. They don't just gamble. In general, though, entrepreneurs seek achievement more than power. What does it take to be an entrepreneur? Would you succeed as an entrepreneur? You can learn about the managerial and leadership skills needed to run a firm. However, you may not have the personality to assume the risks, take the initiative, create the vision, and rally others to follow your lead. Such personality traits are harder to learn or acquire than academic skills are. A list of entrepreneurial attributes to look for in yourself includes self-directed. You should be self-disciplined and thoroughly comfortable being your own boss. You alone will be responsible for your success or failure. Self-nurturing. You must believe in your idea even when no one else does, and be able to replenish your own enthusiasm. When Walt Disney suggested the possibility of a full-length animated feature film, Snow White, the industry laughed. His personal commitment and enthusiasm caused the Bank of America to back his venture. The rest is history. Action-oriented, great business ideas are not enough. Most important is a burning desire to realize, actualize, and build your dream into reality. Highly energetic. It's your business, and you must be emotionally, mentally, and physically able to work long and hard. Employees have weekends and vacations. Entrepreneurs often work 7 days a week and don't take vacations for years. Working 18-hour days in your own business can be exhausting, but most entrepreneurs think it is better than working long hours for someone else. Tolerant of uncertainty. Successful entrepreneurs take only calculated risks if they can help it. Still, they must be able to take some risks. Remember, entrepreneurship is not for the squeamish or those bent on security. You can't be afraid to fail. Many well-known entrepreneurs failed several times before achieving success. The late football coach Vince Lombardi summarized the entrepreneurial philosophy when he said, "We didn't lose any games this season. We just ran out of time twice." New entrepreneurs must be prepared to run out of time a few times before they succeed. Richard Drew, AP Images. Georgette Blow had just moved to New York City when she walked by an apartment building she recognized from a popular sitcom. After visiting more locations from famous movies and TV shows, Blow decided to start her own company where she would take customers to some of her favorite filming sites. On Location Tours now offers guided excursions in multiple cities and serves more than 100,000 tourists annually. What sort of risks did Blau take when she turned her hobby into a business? turning your passions and problems into opportunities. While many entrepreneurs, while many entrepreneurs' business ideas are inspired by their passions, many see business opportunities where others see only problems. For example, Celtel's founder, Mo Ibrahim, saw the opportunity to bring mobile phones to the over 1 billion people in Africa who had never even used a phone, much less owned one, whereas large telecommunication companies saw only poor peasants and logistical hurdles. Celtel soon became Africa's largest cell phone provider. Ibrahim sold the company for $3.4 billion. Page 149. Most entrepreneurs don't get ideas for products and services from some flash of inspiration. The source of innovation is more like a flashlight. Imagine a search party walking in the dark, shining lights, looking around, asking questions, and looking some more. That's how most creativity happens, says business author Dale Doughton. Calling around, asking questions, saying what if, till you get blisters on your tongue. To look at problems and or passions and see opportunities in them, ask yourself these questions. What do I want but can never find? What product or service would improve my life? What really irritates me, and what product or service would help? Keep in mind, however, that not all ideas are opportunities. If your idea doesn't meet anyone else's needs, the business won't succeed. You may have a business idea that is a good opportunity if it fills customers' needs. You have the skills and resources to start a business. You can sell the product or service at a price customers are willing and able to buy and still make a profit. You can get your product or service to customers before your window of opportunity closes, before competitors with similar solutions beat you to the marketplace. You can keep the business going. If you'd like to take a survey to find out if you might have the entrepreneurial spirit in your blood, visit bdc.ca and search for entrepreneurial potential self-assessment. Entrepreneurial teams. An entrepreneurial team is a group of experienced people from different areas of business who join to form a managerial team with the skills to develop, make, and market a new product. A team may be better than an individual entrepreneur because the team members can combine creative skills with production and marketing skills right from the start. Having a team also can ensure more cooperation and coordination later among functions in the business. While Steve Jobs was the charismatic folk hero and visionary of Apple computers, it was Steve Wozniak who invented the first personal computer model, and Mike Markula who offered business expertise and access to venture capital. The key to Apple's early success was that it was built around this smart team of entrepreneurs. The team wanted to combine the discipline of a big company with an environment in which people could feel they were participating in a successful venture. The trio of entrepreneurs recruited seasoned managers with similar desires. Everyone worked together to conceive, develop, and market products. Entrepreneurship within firms. Entrepreneurship in a large organization is often reflected in the efforts and achievements of intrapreneurs, creative people who work as entrepreneurs within corporations. The idea is to use a company's existing resources, human, financial, and physical, to launch new products and generate new profits. New Africa, Shutterstock. When you come up with a winning idea, stick with it. That's certainly been the motto of 3M, the maker of Post-it notes. The company supports entrepreneurship among its employees by encouraging them to devote at least 15% of their time to think about new products. How has this commitment to innovation paid off for 3M and its employees? At 3M, which produces a wide array of products from adhesives like Scotch tape to non-woven materials for industrial use, managers are expected to devote 15% of their work time to thinking up new products or services. You know those bright colored post-it notes people use to write messages on just about everything? That product was developed by Art Fry, a 3M employee. He needed to mark the pages of his hymnal with something that wouldn't damage the book or fall out. He came up with the idea of the self-stick repositionable paper slips. The labs at 3M produced a sample, but distributors were unimpressed and market surveys were inconclusive. Nonetheless, 3M kept sending samples to office staff of executives. Eventually, after a major sales and marketing program, the orders began pouring in, and Post-it notes became a winner. And Post-it notes became a big winner. The company continues to update the product, making the notepads from recycled paper is one of the many innovations. Post-it notes have gone international as well. The notepads sent to Japan are long and narrow to accommodate vertical writing. You can even use Post-it notes electronically. The Post-it software notes program and the Post-it app allow you to type messages onto brightly colored notes and store them on memo boards, end them in documents, or send them through email. Page 150. Other examples of entrepreneurial ventures include Lockheed Martin's first U.S. fighter jet in 1943 and the stealth fighter in 1991, Apple's Mac, Google's Gmail, Google News, and Google AdSense, General Motors Saturn, 3M's Scotch pop-up tape, and Sony PlayStation. Micropreneurs and home-based businesses. Not everyone who starts a business wants to grow a mammoth corporation. Some are interested in maintaining a balanced lifestyle while doing the kind of work they want to do. Such business owners are called micropreneurs, while other entrepreneurs are committed to the quest for growth. Micropreneurs know they can be happy even if their companies never appear on a list of top-ranked businesses. Many micropreneurs are home-based business owners. More than half of all small businesses are run from owners' homes. Micropreneurs include consultants, video producers, architects, and bookkeepers. Many with professional skills such as graphic design, writing, and translating have found that one way of starting a freelance business is through websites such as Upwork and Freelancer that link clients and freelancers. These sites post job openings and client feedback and serve as secure intermediaries for clients' payments. Many home-based businesses are owned by people combining career and family. Don't picture just moms with young children. Nearly 60% are men. Here are more reasons for the growth of home-based business. Technology has leveled the competitive playing field, allowing home-based businesses to look and act as big as their corporate competitors. Fast broadband connections, smartphones, and other technologies are so affordable that setting up a business takes a much smaller initial investment than it once did. Corporate downsizing due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the need to social distance led many to venture out on their own. Meanwhile, the work of the downsized employees still needs to be done, and corporations are outsourcing much of it to smaller companies. Social attitudes have changed, whereas home-based entrepreneurs used to be asked when they were going to get a real job, they are now likely to be asked for how to do it advice. Newer tax laws have loosened restrictions on deducting expenses for home offices. Dennis Talipov, 123RF. Music teachers often operate independently and teach a limited number of pupils at any given time. Despite their small-scale businesses, music teachers can have a big impact on the artistic development of their clients. Can you see why music teachers could be considered micropreneurs? Working at home has its challenges, of course. Here are a few. Page 151. Getting new customers, getting the word out can be difficult because you don't have a retail storefront. Managing time. You save time by not commuting, but it takes self-discipline to use that time wisely. Keeping work and family tasks separate. It's great to be able to throw a load of laundry in the washer in the middle of the workday if you need to, but you have to keep such distractions to a minimum. It also takes self-discipline to leave your work at the office if the office is at home. Abiding by city ordinances. Government ordinances restrict the types of businesses allowed in certain parts of the community and how much traffic a home-based Government ordinances restrict the types of businesses allowed in certain types of community, in certain types of the community. Government ordinances restrict the types of businesses allowed in certain parts of the community and how much traffic a home-based business can attract to the neighborhood. Managing risk. Home-based entrepreneurs should review their homeowners' insurance policy, since not all policies cover business-related claims. Some even void the coverage if there is a business in the home. Home-based entrepreneurs should focus on finding opportunity instead of accepting security, getting results instead of following routines, earning a profit instead of earning a paycheck, trying new ideas instead of avoiding mistakes. And creating a long-term vision instead of seeking a short-term payoff. Figure 6.1 lists ideas for potentially successful home-based businesses, and Figure 6.2 highlights clues for avoiding home-based business scams. You can find a wealth of online information about starting a home-based business at Entrepreneur's website, entrepreneur.com. Figure 6.1 Potential home-based businesses. Many businesses can be started at home. Listed below are businesses that have low startup costs and don't require an abundance of administrative tasks. Personal creations, artwork, and handmade items that can be sold on sites such as Etsy, eBay, and Amazon. In-home services, tutoring, landscape, snow shoveling, house cleaning, pet sitting, babysitting, web designing, personal training, home organizing, etc. Repair or skill-based services, tailoring, plumbing, home repairs, painting, etc. Consulting, advising businesses in areas in which you have an expertise such as technology, marketing, search engine optimization, or social media management. Resale, buying goods and reselling them, i.e., for example, reselling items online that you buy in garage or estate sales. Shared economy opportunities, Uber driver or Airbnb host. Look for a business that meets these important criteria. 1. The job is something you truly enjoy doing. 2. You know enough to do the job well, or you are willing to spend time learning it while you have another job. And 3. You can identify a market for your product or service. Sources: 20 business ideas for stay-at-home parents. Entrepreneur, accessed March 2023. Adam Uzialko. 8 great home-based business ideas. Business News Daily. BusinessNewsDaily.com. February 21st, 2023. Annie Pilon. 50 handmade business ideas to start in 2023. Small Business Trends, smallbiztrends.com, February 8th, 2023. Figure 6.2, watch out for scams. You've probably seen many ads selling home-based businesses. You may have even received unsolicited email messages touting the glory of particular work-at-home opportunities. Beware of work-at-home scams. Here are a few clues that tell you a home business opportunity is a scam. 1. The ad promises that you can earn hundreds or even thousands of dollars a week working at home. 2. No experience is needed. 3. You need to work only a few hours a week. 4. There are loads of capital letters and exclamation points. 5. You need to call a 900 number for information. 6. You asked to send in some money to receive a list of home-based business opportunities. 7. You're pressured to make a decision now. Do your homework before investing in a business opportunity. Call and ask for references. Contact the Better Business Bureau, bbb.org, County and State Departments of Consumer Affairs, and State Attorney General's Office. Conduct an internet search and ask people in forums or on social networking sites if they've dealt with the company. Visit websites such as the Federal Trade Commission, consumer.ftc.gov, to find advice on specific online scams. Most important, don't pay a great deal of money for a business opportunity until you've talked to an attorney. Page 152, Online Businesses. A multitude of small businesses sell everything online, from staplers to refrigerator magnets to wedding dresses. In 2022, online retail sales in the United States reached over $1,034 billion, or approximately 14.6% of all retail sales. Digital Vision, Photo Disc, Getty Images. More than 2 million Americans get married annually, and for many of these soon-to-be newlyweds, TheKnot.com, is an avail- the knot.com is an invaluable resource for planning the big day. From sharing gift registries to creating detailed schedules, the website helps ease the stress that inevitably comes with getting ready for a wedding. What does the knot offer that other wedding planners don't? Online businesses have to offer more than the same merchandise customers can buy at stores. They must offer unique products or services. For example, Mark Resnick started his online distribution company after waking up one morning laughing about his business idea. Now, throwthings.com makes money for him. He's shipped products to more than 44 countries, although the company's offerings seem like a random collection of unrelated items. Everything it sells can be thrown. You can buy promotional products in the Throw Your Name Around section, ventriloquists dummies in the Throw Your Voice section, and sporting equipment in the Things to Throw section. Stranger products include fake vomit, throw up, and a $3.50 certificate that says you wasted your money. Throw your money away. Resnick doesn't sell very many of those certificates, but he does sell more. He does sell more dummies than anyone else in the United States. About 2/3 of the company's revenue comes from the promotional products section, which allows customers to add logos to thousands of products. Why is Resnick's business so successful? As one frequent customer said, it's because of Resnick's exceptional service and quick turnaround time. An online business isn't always a fast road to success. It can sometimes be a shortcut to failure. Hundreds of high-flying sites crashed after promising to revolutionize the way we shop. That's the bad news. The good news is that you can learn from someone else's failure and spare yourself some pain. And, of course, you can learn from their success as well. For many, the fear of leaving the stability of a job to start their own online business can prevent them from taking the risk. But sometimes events arise that push apprehensive entrepreneurs into action. The Adapting to Change box talks about how disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic provided entrepreneurial opportunities for some. Encouraging entrepreneurship, what government can do. Part of the Immigration Act passed by Congress in 1990 was intended to encourage more entrepreneurs to come to the United States. The act created a category of investor visas that allows 10,000 people to come to the United States each year if they invest at least $1.8 million or $900,000 in high unemployment areas in an enterprise that creates 10 full-time jobs. Another way to encourage entrepreneurship is enterprise zones, specific geographic areas to which governments attract private business investment by offering lower taxes and other government support. These are also sometimes called empowerment zones or enterprise communities. As part of the 2017 federal tax overhaul, the federal government identified nearly 9,000 opportunity zones in high poverty areas across the country. Investors qualify for deferred and or reduced taxes if they invest in companies or projects in these communities. The government could have a significant effect on entrepreneurship by offering tax breaks to businesses that make investments to create jobs. The Jumpstart Our Business Startups JOBS Act of 2012 was enacted in an effort to make it easier for small businesses to raise funds and hopefully create new jobs. States are becoming stronger supporters of entrepreneurs and are creating programs that invest directly in new businesses. Often, state commerce departments serve as clearinghouses for such programs. States are also creating incubators and technology centers to reduce start-up capital needs. Incubators offer new businesses in the critical stage of early development low-cost offices with basic services such as accounting, legal advice, and secretarial help. According to a recent study conducted by the International Business Innovation Association, INBIA, 87% of incubator graduates remain in business. Approximately one-third of all business incubators have ties to universities. For example, at the St. Louis University Food Incubator Salas Center Kitchen, people from a local shelter who have experienced domestic violence gather to make chicken pot pies that they sell to area stores and restaurants, and people who are homeless learn to make dog treats and food for Fresh Start Dog Food. To learn more about what incubators offer and to find links to incubators in your area, visit the INBIA's website, inbia.org, page 153. Adapting to change. Spotting entrepreneurial opportunities during a pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted countless businesses, from restaurants that had to close their dining rooms to companies that abandoned offices for remote working. Among all this chaos, however, some entrepreneurs managed to find business opportunities that changed their lives for the better. For example, aspiring musicians Omaya Atut and Ellen Hodges occasionally booked gigs in New York City, but primarily worked at their day jobs. Then the pandemic hit, causing Hodges to lose her position as a barista, while Amtrak cut out Atut's civil engineer salary. Home all day and in need of steady incomes, the couple started to give more thought to their music careers. They set up a website called Songlorious, where they offered to write custom songs for weddings, birthdays, and other special events. Business boomed almost immediately, overwhelming the partners within weeks as they hired additional musicians to keep up with all the new work. By fall 2020, Atout quit his job with Amtrak and committed to Songlorious full-time. I think the pandemic kind of forced us into this a little bit. Atout said, "It gave us a nudge where I've always wanted to do something, but I was too scared because I didn't want to lose the stability of my job." Diana King and the New York Times and Redux. Other entrepreneurs benefited from domestic changes brought on by the pandemic, such as an upsurge in pet ownership. According to the American American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ASPCA, nearly 1 in 5 American households acquired a dog or cat during the pandemic, amounting to more than 23 million homes nationwide. All of those new dogs need to be walked, of course, which is where companies like Whistle and Wag come in. Founder Bethany Lane saw business skyrocket during the pandemic, earning her hundreds of thousands of dollars a year by going on strolls with pooches. Pre-pandemic, I used to get a call maybe 1 or 2 times a month from a potential new client, said Lane. I get multiple calls a week now. It is a lot of puppies. So even in the most uncertain times, remember that opportunity awaits somewhere. Sources: Allison Kruger, How These Dog Walkers Make Over $100,000 a Year. The New York Times, NewYorkTimes.com, January 22nd, 2023. Ben Castleman, Startup Boom in the Pandemic is Growing Stronger. The New York Times, August 19th, 2021. Rod Berger, Residual Impact of Pandemic on Entrepreneurial Choices. Forbes.com, January 21st, 2023. Ruth Simon, These entrepreneurs started businesses during the pandemic. How did they do? The Wall Street Journal, WSJ.com, February 26th, 2023. A few states offer assistance to qualified candidates under the Self-Employment Assistance SEA program. The program allows participants to collect self-employment payments instead of regular unemployment checks while they build their businesses. Participants often get training and counseling as well. Small self-employment checks may not seem like much, but many business owners say they are enough to help them launch their companies without depleting savings to pay for living expenses until their businesses are strong enough to support them. Philippe Petit and Paris Match and Getty Images. Incubators offer new businesses low-cost offices with basic business services such as accounting, legal advice, and secretarial help. For example, this one in Paris offers affordable space and repurposed shipping containers for up and coming entrepreneurs. Do you have such incubators in your area? Page 154. The government can also join with private entities to promote entrepreneurship. For example, Startup America was an initiative started in 2011 by the federal government in partnership with the Kauffman Foundation to celebrate, inspire, and accelerate high-growth entrepreneurship throughout the nation. It is a public and private effort to bring together the country's most innovative entrepreneurs, corporations, universities, foundations, and other leaders to work with federal agencies to increase the number and success of U.S. entrepreneurs. One of the core goals is to empower more Americans not just to get a job, but also to create jobs. Learn more about the resources offered by Startup America at startupamericapartnership.org. Test prep. Why are people willing to take the risk of entrepreneurship? What are the advantages of entrepreneurial teams? How do micropreneurs differ from other entrepreneurs? What does the government do to promote entrepreneurship? Getting started in small business, LO 6-2. Discuss the importance of small business to the American economy and summarize the major causes of small business failure. Let's suppose you have a great idea for a new business. You have the attributes of an entrepreneur and you're ready to take the leap into business for yourself. How do you start? That's what the rest of this chapter is about. It may be easier to identify with a small neighborhood business than with a giant global firm. It may be easier to identify with a small neighborhood business than with a giant global firm. Yet the principles of management are similar for each. The management of charities government agencies, churches, schools, and unions is much the same as the management of small and large businesses. So, as you learn about small business management, you will take a giant step forward understanding management in general. All organizations demand capital, good ideas, planning, information management, budgets, and financial management in general, accounting, marketing, good employee relations, and good overall managerial know-how. We shall explore those areas as they relate to small businesses and then, later in the book, apply the concepts to large firms and even global organizations. Small versus big business. The Small Business Administration (SBA) defines a small business as one that is independently owned and operated, is not dominant in its field of operation, and meets certain standards of size in terms of employees or annual receipts, such as under $2.5 million a year for service businesses. A small business is considered small only in relation to other businesses in its industry. A construction company may be valued at up to $28.5 million and still be considered a small business by the SBA. In manufacturing, a plant can have 500 employees and still be considered small. Let's look at some interesting statistics about small businesses. Page 155. There are over 32 million small businesses in the United States. Of all non-farm businesses in the United States, over 99% are considered small by SBA standards. Small businesses account for more than 44% of the gross domestic product, GDP. Over 400,000 tax-paying, employee-hiring businesses are started every year. Small businesses employ nearly half of all private sector employees. Small businesses create approximately 2/3 of new jobs in the United States. As you can see, small business is really a big part of the U.S. economy. How big? Let's find out. Importance of small business. Importance of small businesses. Since 2/3 of the nation's new jobs are in small businesses, there's a very good chance you'll either work in small business someday or start one. In addition to providing employment opportunities, small firms believe they offer other advantages over large companies: more personal customer service and the ability to respond quickly to opportunities. Graphic photo and iStock and Getty Images plus and Getty Images. When Ronnie D. Lolo's dog Midnight had trouble catching a frisbee due to his squinting, she retrofitted sports goggles to fit his canine face. Midnight became the hit of the dog park, and soon D. Lolo was making pairs for interested pet owners. Eventually, she contracted with a manufacturer and started a company called Doggles, which now earns millions of dollars annually by selling goggles to doggy fashionistas, veterinary ophthalmologists, and even military canines. Bigger is not always better. Picture a hole in the ground. If you fill it with boulders, there are many empty spaces between them. If you fill it with sand, there is no space between the grains. That's how it is in business. Big businesses don't serve all the needs of the market. There is plenty of room for small companies to make a profit, filling those niches. Small business success and failure. You can't be naive about business practices or you'll go broke. According to the SBA, half of new businesses don't last 5 years. Some people argue that the failure rate is actually much lower than the statistic suggests. When small business owners closed down one business to start another, for instance, they were included in the failure category, even though they hadn't failed at all. Similarly, when a business changed its form of ownership or sole proprietor retired, it was counted as a failure. The good news for entrepreneurs is that business failures are much lower than traditionally reported. Figure 6.3 lists reasons for small business failures, among them managerial incompetence and inadequate financial planning. Keep in mind that when a business fails, it is important that the owners learn from their mistakes. Some entrepreneurs who have suffered flops are more realistic than novice entrepreneurs because of the lessons they've learned. They may be more successful in their future ventures. Milton Hershey, for example, tried starting candy businesses in Chicago and New York and failed both times. He could have followed in the footsteps of his father, a dreamer who lacked the perseverance and work ethic to stick to an idea long enough to make it work. Instead, Hershey kept trying and eventually built not only the world's largest candy company, but also schools, churches, and housing for his employees. Figure 6.3, Causes of Small Business Failure. The following are some of the causes of small business failure: plunging in without first testing the waters on a small scale, underpricing or overpricing goods or services, underestimating how much time it will take to build a market, starting with too little capital, starting with too much capital and being careless in its use, going into business with little or no experience and without first learning something about the industry or market, borrowing money without planning just how and when to pay it back, attempting to do too much business with too little capital, not allowing for setbacks and unexpected expenses, buying too much on credit, extending credit too freely, expanding credit too rapidly, failing to keep complete, accurate records so that the owners drift into trouble without realizing it, carrying habits of personal extravagance into the business, not understanding business cycles, forgetting about taxes, insurance, and other costs of doing business, mistaking the freedom of being in business for oneself for the liberty to work or not according to whim. Page 156. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school 3 times before he got his first chance. Today, he's considered one of the greatest directors of our time. Ariana Huffington, co-founder of the HuffPost, put learning from failure this way: It was injected into me by my mother that failure was not something one could fear. It was not the opposite of success. It was just a bridge that would take you to success. And I didn't have to fear failure. Perseverance is everything. I'm not giving up. Everyone faces failures, but people who keep going on are successful. Choosing the right type of business is critical. Many businesses with low failure rates require advanced training to start. Veterinary services, dental practices, medical practices, and so on. While training and degrees may be security, they do not tend to produce much growth. One dentist can fill only so many cavities. If you want to be both independent and rich, you need to go after growth. Often high-growth businesses, such as technology firms, are not easy to start and are even more difficult to keep going. The easiest businesses to start have the least growth and greatest failure rate, like restaurants. The easiest to keep alive are difficult to get started, like manufacturing, and the ones that can make you rich are both hard to start and hard to keep going, like automobile assembly. See figure 6-4. See figure 6.4 to get an idea of the business situations most likely to lead to success. Figure 6.4 situations for small business success. The following factors increase the chances of small business success. The customer requires a lot of personal attention, as in a salon. The product is not easily made by mass production techniques, like, for example, custom tailored clothes or custom auto body work. Sales are not large enough to appeal to a large firm, like, for example, a novelty shop. The neighborhood is not attractive because of crime or poverty. The neighborhood is not attractive because of crime or poverty. This provides a unique opportunity for small grocery stores and laundries. A large business sells a franchise operation to local buyers. Don't forget franchising as an excellent way to enter the world of small business. The owner pays attention to new competitors. The business is in a growth industry, like, for example, computer services or web design. Open. When you decide to start your own business, think carefully. You're unlikely to find everything you want. Easy entry, security, and reward. In one business, choose those characteristics that matter most to you. Accept the absence of the others. Plan, and then go for it. Learning about small business operations. LO6-3 summarize ways to learn about how small businesses operate. Hundreds of would-be entrepreneurs ask the same question: how can I learn to run my own business? Here are some hints. Learn from others. Investigate your local community college or university for classes on small business and entrepreneurship. There are thousands of such programs throughout the United States. Many bring together entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds who form helpful support networks. Talk to others who have already done it. They'll tell you that location is critical and caution you not to be undercapitalized. That is, not to start without enough money. They'll warn you about the problems of finding and retaining good workers. And most of all, they'll tell you to keep good records and hire a good accountant. A lawyer before you start. Free advice like this is invaluable. Page 157. Making ethical decisions. Should you stay or should you go? Suppose you've worked for 2 years in a company and you see signs that it is beginning to falter. You and a coworker have ideas about how to make a company like your boss's succeed. Rather than share your ideas with your boss, you and your friend are considering quitting your jobs and starting your own company together. Should you approach other coworkers about working for your new venture? Will you try to lure your old boss's customers to your own business? What are your alternatives? What are the consequences of each alternative? What's the most ethical choice? Get some experience. There is no better way to learn small business management than by becoming an apprentice or working for a successful entrepreneur. Many small business owners got the idea for their businesses from their prior jobs. The rule of thumb is have 3 years experience in a comparable business first. Back in 1818, Cornelius Vanderbilt sold his own sailing vessels and went to work for a steamboat company so that he could learn the rules of the new game of steam. After learning what he needed to know, he quit, started his own steamship company, and became the first U.S. business owner to accumulate $100 million. Running a small business part-time during your off hours or on weekends can bring the rewards of working for yourself while still enjoying a regular paycheck at another job. It may save you money too, because you're then less likely to make rookie mistakes. When you start your own business, the Making Ethical Decisions box presents ethical questions about using the knowledge you've gained as an employee to start your own business. Nancy Newberry. Sharon Anderson Wright spent her teenage years sorting novels, nonfiction, and newspapers at her family's used bookstore. She knew what her customers liked to read and worked closely with her mother to learn the fine details of the business. This experience served her well as she expanded half-price books into a national company earning more than $250 million in annual revenue. How do you think Wright's experience helped the business succeed? Take over a successful firm. Small business owners work long hours and rarely take vacations. After many years, they may feel stuck and think they can get out because they have too much time and effort invested. Thus, millions of small business owners are eager to get away, at least for a long vacation. This is where you come in. Find a successful business person who owns a small business. Tell them you are eager to learn the business and would like to serve an apprenticeship. That is a training period. Say that at the end of the training period, 1 year or so, you would like to help the owner or manager by becoming assistant manager. Thus, you can free the owner to take off weekends and holidays and have a long vacation. A good deal for them. For another year or so, work very hard to learn all about the business, suppliers, inventory, bookkeeping, customers, promotion. At the end of 2 years, make this offer. The owner can retire or work only part-time, and you will take over management of the business. You can establish a profit-sharing plan with the owner, plus pay yourself a salary. Be generous with yourself. You'll learn it if you manage the business. You can even ask for 40% or more of the profits. Page 158. The owner benefits by keeping ownership in the business and making 60% of what they earned before without having to work. You benefit by making 40% of the profits of a successful firm. This is an excellent deal for an owner about to retire. They are able to keep the firm and a healthy profit flow. It is also a clever and successful way to share in the profits of a successful small business without making any personal monetary investment. If profit sharing doesn't appeal to the owner, you may want to buy a business outright. As more baby boomers retire, there are an increasing number of businesses for sale. How do you determine a fair price for a business? Value is based on 1, what the business owns, 2, what it earns, and 3, what makes it unique. Naturally, an accountant will need to help you determine the business's value. If you fail at your efforts to take over the business through either profit sharing or buying, you can quit and start your own business fully trained. Managing a small business, LO6-4. Analyze what it takes to start and run a small business. According to the Small Business Administration, one of the major causes of small business failures is poor management. Keep in mind, though, that poor management covers a number of faults. It could mean poor planning, cash flow management, record keeping, inventory control, promotion, or employee relations. Most likely, it includes poor capitalization. To help you succeed as a business owner, in the following sections, we explore the functions of business in a small business setting: planning your business, financing your business, knowing your customers' marketing, managing your employees, human resource development, keeping records, accounting, looking for help. Although all the functions are important in both the startup and management phases of the business, the first two, planning and financing, are the primary concerns when you start your business. The others are the heart of your operations once the business is underway. Planning your business. Many people eager to start a small business come up with an idea and begin discussing it with professors, friends, and other business people. At this stage, the entrepreneur needs a business plan. A business plan is a detailed written statement that describes the nature of the business, the target market, the advantages the business will have over competition, and the resources and qualifications of the owners. A business plan forces potential small business owners to be quite specific about the products or services they intend to offer. They must analyze the competition, calculate how much money they need to start, and cover other details of operation. A business plan is also mandatory for talking with bankers or other investors. Makedotfin and iStock and Getty Images Plus and Getty Images. The North Carolina-based startup BioMilk is developing a synthetic version of human milk for mothers who are not able to breastfeed. Co-founder and cell biologist Layla Strickland struggled to produce enough breast milk for her first child, and she became inspired to start her company after hearing about the world's first lab-grown burger in 2023. Ever since, Strickland has utilized her expertise in an attempt to culture human milk producing cells that could make a big difference for mothers around the world. Can you think of another instance where entrepreneurship was used to solve a problem? Lenders want to know everything about an aspiring business. First, pick a bank that serves businesses the size of yours. Have a good accountant prepare a complete set of financial statements and a personal balance sheet. Make an appointment before going to the bank, and go to the bank with an accountant and all the necessary financial information. Demonstrate to the banker that you are a person of good character who is civic-minded and respected in business and community circles. Finally, ask for all the money you need. Be specific and be prepared to personally guarantee the loan. Page 159. Outline of a comprehensive business plan. A good business plan is between 25 and 50 pages long and takes at least 6 months to write. Cover letter. Only one thing is certain when you go hunting for money to start a business. You won't be the only hunter out there. You need to make potential funders want to read your business plan instead of the hundreds of others on their desks. Your cover letter should summarize the most attractive points of your project in as few words as possible. Be sure to address the letter to the potential investor by name, to whom it may concern, or dear sir or madam is not the best way to win an investor's support. Section 1, Executive Summary. Begin with a 2 or 3 page management summary of the proposed venture. Include a short description of the business and discuss major goals and objectives. Section 2, Company Background. Describe company operations to date, if any, potential legal considerations, and areas of risk and opportunity. Summarize the firm's financial condition and include past and current balance sheets, income and cash flow statements, and other relevant financial records. You will read about these financial statements in Chapter 17. It is also wise to include a description of insurance coverage. Investors want to be assured that death or other mishaps do not pose major threats to the company. Section 3, Management Team. Include an organization chart, job descriptions of listed positions, and detailed resumes of the current and proposed executives. A mediocre idea with a proven management team is funded more often than a great idea with an inexperienced team. Managers should have expertise in all disciplines necessary to start and run a business. If not, mention outside consultants who will serve in these roles and describe their qualifications. Section 4, Financial Plan. Provide 5-year projections for income, expenses, and funding sources. Don't assume the business will grow in a straight line. Adjust your planning to allow for funding at various stages of the company's growth. Explain the rationale and assumptions used to determine the estimates. Assumptions should be reasonable and based on industry and historical trends. Make sure all totals add up and are consistent throughout the plan. If necessary, hire a professional accountant or financial analyst to prepare these statements. Stay clear of excessively ambitious sales projections. Rather, offer best care expected and worst case scenarios. These not only reveal how sensitive the bottom line is to sales fluctuations, but also serve as good management guides. Section 5, Capital Required. Indicate the amount of capital needed to commence or continue operations, and describe how these funds are to be used. Make sure the totals are the same as the ones on the cash flow statement. This area will receive a great deal of review from potential investors, so it must be clear and concise. Section 6, Marketing Plan. Don't underestimate the competition. Review industry size, trends, and the target market segment. Discuss strengths and weaknesses of the product or service. The most important things investors want to know are what makes the product more desirable than what's already available and whether the product can be patented. Compare pricing to the competitions. Forecast sales in dollars and units. Outline sales, advertising, promotion, and public relations programs. Make sure the costs agree with those projected in the financial statements. Section 7, Location Analysis. In retailing and certain other industries, the location of the business is one of the most important factors. Provide a comprehensive demographic analysis of consumers in the area of the proposed business, as well as a traffic pattern analysis and vehicular and pedestrian counts. Section 8, Manufacturing Plan. Describe minimum plant size, machinery required, production capacity, inventory and inventory control methods, quality control, planned personnel requirements, and so on. Estimates of product costs should be based on primary research. Section 9, Appendix. Include all marketing research on the product or service, off-the-shelf reports, article reprints, etc., and other information about the product concept or market size. Provide a bibliography of all the reference materials you consulted. This section should demonstrate that the proposed company won't be entering a declining industry or market segment. Page 160. McGraw-Hill Connect. I see it. Need help understanding the key aspects of the business plan? Click on the video for a brief animated explanation.
Marianne and Nana are ready to expand their successful business, Crepes a la Nana, from one food truck to a whole fleet. To achieve this goal, they need money to purchase new trucks and hire additional employees. Marianne and Nana reinvest their own profits, but still need additional financing. They decide to look for an angel investor or a small business loan. To prove that their expanded food truck business is a solid investment, Marianne and Nana need a business plan. A business plan outlines the goals for a business, the plan to achieve those goals, and metrics for success. The more money Marianne and Nana ask an investor or lender to risk, the more detailed the plan must be. Marianne and Nana develop the elements of the business plan for Crepes a la Nana, which consists of the following sections: executive summary, introduction, marketing, manufacturing, management, legal, financial. The executive summary describes their business, its market potential, and how it stands out from competitors. It must capture the imagination of potential investors. The introduction details the fast food service industry, the unique qualities of their business, and the benefit to customers of their convenient, healthy menu items. The marketing section defines the strategy for identifying the target market and how to reach them through integrated marketing efforts. For each new food truck location, Marianne and Nana include information about the type of customers, amount of foot traffic, socioeconomic factors, and ways to tailor their products to customers at specific locations. The manufacturing section details the equipment and staff that Nana and Marianne will need, as well as how they'll handle inventory and quality control. The management section describes the specialized qualifications for Marianne, Nana, and the managers they plan to hire. They include an organizational chart to show how the management team will work together. The legal section explains whether they'll organize their business as a sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation. Marianne and Nana have decided to become a limited liability corporation, LLC. This section also lists required licenses, permits, and insurance. The financial section details their expected annual revenue, monthly cash flow, and profitability timeline after investing in the new food trucks. Marianne and Nana have a lot of work to do to complete their business plan. But once the plan is finished, Marianne and Nana will be ready to pursue their recipe for success.
Writing a business plan. A good business plan takes a long time to write, but you've got only 5 minutes in the executive summary to convince readers not to throw it away. Since bankers receive many business plans every day, the summary has to catch their interest quickly. An outline of a comprehensive business plan is shown nearby. There's no such thing as a perfect business plan. Even the most comprehensive business plan changes as the new business evolves. Many software programs can help you get organized, such as Rake and BizPlan, for a simplified business plan. You may want to check out Fortune 500 executive Jim Horan's book, The One-Page Business Plan. The book includes access to interactive exercises, forms, and templates to see samples of successful business plans for a variety of businesses. Go to bplans.com/sample_business_plans. You can learn more about writing business plans on the Small Business Administration website at sba.gov/business-guide/write-your-business-plan-template. McGraw-Hill Connect. I see it. Need help understanding how an entrepreneur can secure financing for a small business? Click on the video for a brief animated explanation. Getting your completed business plan into the right hands is almost as important as getting the right information into the plan. Finding funding requires research. Next, we discuss sources of money available to new business ventures. All require a comprehensive business plan. The time and effort you invest before starting a business will pay off many times later. The big payoff is survival. Financing your small business. An entrepreneur has several potential sources of capital: personal savings, family and business associates, banks and finance institutions, angel investors, crowdfunding and venture capitalists, and government agencies such as the Small Business Administration, SBA, the U.S. Economic Development Administration, and the Minority Business Development Agency. Family and business associates. The most common source of funding after personal savings is friends and family. You may even want to consider borrowing from a potential supplier to your future business. Helping you get started may be in the supplier's interest if there is a chance you will be a big customer later. This is what Ray Kroc did in the early years of McDonald's. When Kroc didn't have the funds available to keep the company going, he asked his suppliers to help him with the necessary funds. These suppliers grew along with McDonald's. It's usually not a good idea to ask such an investor for money at the outset. Begin by asking for advice. If the supplier likes your plan, they may be willing to help you with funding too. Banks and finance institutions. Small business owners often need to do a little extra shopping to find a lender. Many find that smaller community banks are more likely to grant loans than larger regional banks. Since small banks do business in a single town or cluster of towns, they know their customers better. They have more flexibility to make lending decisions based on everything they know about their customers rather than on a more automated basis as larger banks must. Community development financial institutions, CDFIs, may be a source of funding for businesses in lower income communities. CDFIs played a big role in the economic recovery, and they succeed even after the credit bubble of 2008 because they maintain the financial discipline other lenders lacked. They have the incentive to make sure their clients succeed. They have the incentive to make sure their clients succeed because if borrowers don't repay their loans, the CDFIs take the hit, not investors. Less than 1% of their loans were not paid back in the last 3 decades. CDFIs don't just loan money. Most importantly, they provide business counseling, such as helping owners learn how to develop marketing strategies, managing inventory, and improve cash flow. Page 161. Angels, crowdfunding, and venture capitalists. Individual investors are also a frequent source of capital for most entrepreneurs. The angel investors are private individuals who invest their own money in the potentially hot new companies before they go public. A number of websites match people who want money with those willing to lend it. They include donation-based services such as GoFundMe and Kickstarter, where companies accept small donations in exchange for perks like t-shirts or other memorabilia, and debt investment sites such as Funding Circle, which offers loans that need to be repaid plus interest. This form of individual investing is called peer-to-peer P2P lending or crowdfunding. A credit-worthy borrower often gets such money faster and more easily than going to the bank, and the cost is often less than a bank loan. With hundreds of crowdfunding sites, it can be confusing to know which one is the best fit for you and your prospective business. Reviewing services like Crowds Unite offer feedback from users of lending sites to help you better understand your options. The Jobs Act of 2012 allows businesses to raise up to $1 million a year from private investors without making an initial public offering. Discussed in Chapter 19, prior to the Jobs Act, it was illegal for private companies to sell shares in their companies to the public. The JOBS Act allows businesses to use fundraising sites to solicit larger investments in exchange for ownership shares in the business. Many prefer the terms crowd investing or equity crowdfunding for this form of fundraising. John M. Lund, Photography Incorporated, and Getty Images. Wouldn't it be great if money grew on trees? Unfortunately, it doesn't, so prospective entrepreneurs must find other sources of capital such as personal savings, relatives, former employers, banks, finance companies, venture capitalists, and government agencies. What is the most common source of funding after personal savings? Venture capitalists may finance your projects for a price. Venture capitalists may ask for a hefty stake in your company, as much as 60%, in exchange for the cash to start your business. If the venture capitalists takes too large a stake, you could lose control of the business. Since the widespread failure of early web startups, venture capitalists have been willing to invest less and expect more return on their investment if the new company is sold. Therefore, if you're a very small company, you don't have a very good chance of getting venture capital. You'd have a better chance finding an angel investor or using crowdfunding. If your proposed venture does require millions of dollars to start, experts recommend that you start with at least 5 investment firms and their clients in order to find the right venture capitalist. You may be able to connect with potential investors through Angel Lists, an online service that helps entrepreneurs and venture capitalists get to know each other. To learn more about how to find venture capitalists, visit the National Venture Capital Association's website, nvca.org. The Small Business Administration SBA is a U.S. government agency that advises and assists small businesses by providing management training and financial advice and loans. See Figure 6.5. The SBA started a microloan demonstration program in 1991. The program provides very small loans up to $50,000 and technical assistance to small business owners. It is administered through a nationwide network of nonprofit organizations chosen by the SBA. Rather than award loans based on collateral, credit history, or previous business success, the program judges worthiness on belief in the borrower's integrity and the soundness of their business ideas. Page 162. Figure 6.5. Types of SBA financial assistance. The SBA may provide the following types of financial assistance. Standard 7. A. Loans. Loans made by a financial institution that the government will repay if the borrower stops making payments. The maximum individual loan guarantee is capped at $5 million. Microloans. Amounts ranging from $100 to $50,000 to people such as single mothers and public housing tenants. SBA Express. Program that accelerates the SBA response time to 36 hours. The loan limit is $350,000. Export Express. Loans made to small businesses wishing to export. The maximum guaranteed loan amount is $500,000. International trade loans. Long-term financing to businesses that are expanding because of growing export sales or that have been adversely affected by imports and need to modernize to meet foreign competition. The loan limit is $5 million. Community Adjustment and Investment Program, CAIP. Loans to businesses to create new sustainable jobs or to preserving existing jobs in eligible communities that have lost jobs due to changing trade partners with Mexico and Canada following the adoption of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. 504 Certified Development Company, CDC loans. Loans for purchasing major fixed assets such as land and buildings for businesses in eligible communities, typically rural communities or urban areas needing revitalization. The maximum guaranteed loan amount is $5 million for meeting the job creation criteria or a community development goal. The business must create or retain one job for every $65,000. $100,000 for small manufacturers provided by the SBA. Cap line loans. Loans to help small businesses meet their short-term and cyclical working capital needs. The maximum cap line loan is $5 million. The SBA reduced the size of its application from 150 pages to 1 page for loans under $50,000 since government regulations are constantly changing. You may want to go to the SBA's website, sba.gov, for the latest information about SBA programs and other business services. You may also want to consider requesting funds from the Small Business Investment Company, SBIC program. SBICs are private investment companies licensed by the SBA to lend money to small businesses. An SBIC must have a minimum of $5 million in capital and can borrow up to $2 from the SBA for each $1 of capital it has. It lends to or invests in small businesses that meet its criteria. Often, SBICs are able to keep defaults to a minimum by identifying a business's trouble spots early, giving entrepreneurs advice, and, in some cases, rescheduling loan payments. Perhaps the best place for young entrepreneurs to start shopping for an SBA loan is a Small Business Development Center, SBDC. SBDCs are funded jointly by the federal government and individual states and are usually associated with state and community colleges and universities. SBDCs can help you evaluate the feasibility of your idea, develop your business plan, and complete your funding application, all for no charge. To help small businesses financially affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the SBA offered a number of loan options, including the Paycheck Protection Program (PPP), which provided forgivable loans to businesses that kept workers employed. COVID-19 EIDL, which issued low-interest loans to businesses that suffered revenue loss, and the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which provided funding to eligible bars and restaurants. Obtaining money from banks, venture capitalists, and government sources is very difficult for most small businesses. You will learn more about financing in Chapter 18. Those who do survive the planning and financing of their new ventures are eager to get their businesses up and running. Your success in running a business depends on many factors, especially knowing your customers, managing your employees, and keeping good records. Knowing your customers. One of the most important elements of small business success is knowing the market, which consists of consumers with unsatisfied wants and needs who have both resources and the willingness to buy. Most of our students have the willingness to own a brand new Maserati sports car. However, few have the resources necessary to satisfy this want. Would they be a good market for a luxury car dealer? Page 163. Once you have identified your market and its needs, you must set out to fill those needs. How? Offer top quality at a fair price with great service. Remember, it isn't enough to get customers. You have to keep them. There are signs everywhere telling you now you're happy. There are signs everywhere telling you how happy your customers are, including in operational data, social media posts, financial data, contact center calls, the company website, and many more places. Using AI and machine learning tools can help you understand what your customers and prospects are saying about your business in real time. John Angelillo and UPI and Alamy stock photo. Not all small businesses stay small. Some become superstars. For example, Mattel founders Ruth and Elliot Handler started out in their garage making picture frames. When they discovered that the dollhouse furniture they made with the wood scraps sold better than the frames, they changed their business to focus on dolls. Today, Mattel is a multi-billion-dollar business thanks to the success of blockbuster toys like Barbie. One of the greatest advantages small businesses have is the ability to know their customers better and adapt quickly to their ever-changing needs. The only way to know what your customers' needs are is to listen. Don't let your passion and ego get in the way of changing your products or services to fit what customers really want. You will gain more insights about markets in Chapter 13 and Chapter 14. Now let's consider effectively managing the employees who help you serve your market. Managing your employees. As a business grows, it becomes impossible for an entrepreneur to oversee every detail. Even by putting in 60 hours per week, this means that hiring, training, and motivating employees are critical. It is not easy to find good help when you offer less money, skimpier benefits, and less room for advancement than larger firms do. That's one reason good employee relations are important for small business management. Employees of small companies are often more satisfied with their jobs than are their counterparts in big business. Why? Quite often, they find their jobs more challenging, their ideas more accepted, and their bosses more respectful. Often, entrepreneurs are reluctant to recognize that to keep growing, they must delegate authority to others. Who should have this delegated authority and how much? This can be a particularly touchy issue in small businesses with long-term employees and in family businesses. As you might expect, entrepreneurs who have built their companies from scratch often feel compelled to promote employees who have been with them from the start, even when they aren't qualified to serve as managers. Common sense tells you this could hurt the business. The idea that you must promote or can't fire people because they're family can also hinder growth. Entrepreneurs best serve themselves and the business if they gradually recruit and groom employees for management positions. Enhancing trust and support between them. You'll learn more about managing employees in Chapter 7 through Chapter 12. Keeping records. Small business owners often say the most important assistance they received in starting and managing their business was in accounting. A business person who sets up an effective accounting system early will save much grief later. Accurate record keeping enables a small business owner to follow daily sales, expenses, and profits, as well as helping with inventory control, customer records, and payroll. Many business failures are caused by poor accounting practices that lead to costly mistakes. A good accountant can help you decide whether to buy or lease equipment and whether to own or rent a building. They may also help you with tax planning, financial forecasting, choosing sources of financing, and writing requests for funds. Other small business owners may tell you where to find an accountant experienced in small business. It pays to shop around for advice. You'll learn more about accounting in Chapter 17. Looking for help. Small business owners have learned, sometimes the hard way, that they need outside consulting advice early in the process. This is especially true of legal, tax, and accounting advice, but also of marketing, finance, and other areas. Most small and medium-sized firms cannot afford to hire such experts as employees, so they must turn to outside assistance. Page 164. A necessary and invaluable aid is a competent, experienced lawyer who knows and understands small businesses. Lawyers can help with leases, contracts, partnership agreements, and protection against liabilities. They don't have to be expensive. In fact, several prepaid legal plans offer services such as drafting legal documents for a low annual rate. Of course, you can find plenty of legal services online. The SBA offers plain English guides and mini tutorials that will help you gain a basic understanding of the laws that affect each phase of the life of a small business. Sites like findforms.com offer search tools that help you find free legal forms from all over the web, as well as advice, links, books, and more. Remember, free isn't a bargain if the information isn't correct, so check the sources carefully and double check any legal actions with an attorney. Courtesy of Freedom at the Mat, photography by Aaron Henderson. Olivia F. Scott, owner of the New Orleans-based company Freedom at the Mat, worked with a SCORE mentor to develop the business side of her online yoga studio. The mentor advised her about financing, sales, human resources, operations, and organizational planning. What was the price tag for all of this valuable advice? $0. Make your marketing decisions long before you introduce a product or open a store. An inexpensive marketing research study may help you determine where to locate, whom to select as your target market, and what is an effective strategy for reaching it. Thus, a marketing consultant with small business experience can be of great help to you, especially one who has had experience with building websites and using social media. Two other invaluable experts are a commercial loan officer and an insurance agent. The commercial loan officer can help you design an acceptable business plan and give you valuable financial advice, as well as lend you money when you need it. An insurance agent will explain all the risks associated with a small business and how to cover them most efficiently with insurance and other means like safety devices and sprinkler systems. An important source of information for small businesses is the Service Corps of Retired Executives, SCORE, SCORE. This SBA resource partner has more than 10,000 volunteers, many still working in their fields, from industry, trade associations, and education, who counsel small businesses at no cost except for expenses. You can find a SCORE counselor by logging on to score.org. The SBA also offers a free comprehensive online entrepreneurship course for aspiring entrepreneurs. Often, business professors from local colleges will advise small business owners free of charge or for a small fee. Some universities have clubs or programs that provide consulting services by Master of Business Administration MBA candidates for a nominal fee. The University of Maryland and Virginia Tech have internship programs that pair MBA students with budding companies and local incubator programs. The incubator companies pay half the intern's salary, which is around $20 an hour. It is also wise to seek the counsel of other small business owners. Entrepreneur.com offers experienced entrepreneurs and young startups an open forum to exchange advice and ideas. Visitors have access to articles on marketing, business planning, incorporation, and financial management. Peer groups within specific industries can give you better insights into the challenges and solutions encountered by other business owners in your field. For example, Gateway Wellness Associates in St. Louis, Missouri, offers office space resources and business guidance to therapists and other wellness professionals who want to start their own private practices. Peer advisory organizations that could help you connect with a peer group in your industry include Young Entrepreneurs Council and Entrepreneurs Organization. Other sources of counsel include local chambers of commerce, the Better Business Bureau, national and local trade associations, the business reference section of your library, and many small business-related websites. Test prep. A business plan is probably the most important document a small business owner will ever create. There are 9 sections in the business plan outline shown in the chapter. Can you describe at least 5 of those actions now? Page 165, Going Global, Small Business Prospects. LO 6-5, outline the advantages and disadvantages small businesses have in entering global markets. As we noted in Chapter 3, there are over 334 million people in the United States, but more than 8 billion people in the world. Obviously, the world market is a much larger, more lucrative market for small businesses than the United States alone. Small and medium-sized businesses accounted for 99% of the growth in exporting firms in recent years. All this exporting is paying off. According to the International Trade Commission, small exporting firms account for 98% of all exporting firms and 34% of all U.S. exporting value. Technological advances have helped increase small business exporting. PayPal makes it possible for small businesses to get paid automatically when they conduct global business online. The internet also helps small businesses find customers without the expense of international travel. It's becoming easier than ever for small businesses to access foreign markets online. In 2019, Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba Group Holdings Ltd. began to allow small businesses in the United States to sell on Alibaba.com. Previously, U.S.-based businesses were only able to buy items on the site. This plan opened up markets to U.S. merchants in other countries, including India, Brazil, and Canada. Igor Tokalenko and Alamy stock photo. Dave Heyman, creator of the Wizard Spiral Gumball machine, liked to say that his mission was to help people make money while doing nothing. That's certainly not the case for Global Gumball. That's certainly not the case for Global Gumball, which ships the machines to clients around the world. How do technological advancements like the internet help Global Gumball serve its international customers? Still, many small businesses have difficulty getting started in global business. Why are so many missing the boat to the huge global markets? Primarily because the voyage includes a few major hurdles. 1. Financing is often difficult to find. 2. Would-be exporters don't know how to get started and do not understand the cultural differences between markets. And 3. The bureaucratic paperwork can threaten to bury a small business. Beside the fact that most of the world's market lies outside the United States, there are other good reasons for going global. Exporting can absorb excess inventory, soften downturns in the domestic market, and extend product lives. It can also spice up dull routines. Small businesses have several advantages over large businesses in international trade. Overseas buyers often enjoy dealing with individuals rather than with large corporate bureaucracies. Small companies can usually begin shipping much faster. Small companies can provide a wide variety of suppliers. Small companies can give customers personal service and undivided attention because each overseas account is a major source of business to them. A good place to start finding information about exporting is the Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security, bis.doc.gov. Other sources include the SBA's Office of International Trade. The SBA's Export Express Loan Program provides export financing opportunities for small businesses. The program is designed to finance a variety of needs of small business exporters, including participation in foreign trade shows, catalog translations for use in foreign markets, lines of credit for export purposes, and real estate and equipment for the production of goods or services to be exported. Test prep. Why do many small businesses avoid doing business globally? What are some of the advantages small businesses have over large businesses in selling in global markets? Page 166, Summary. LO 6-1. Explain why people take the risks of entrepreneurship. List the attributes of successful entrepreneurs and describe entrepreneurial teams, entrepreneurs, and home and web-based businesses. What are a few of the reasons people start their own businesses? Reasons include profit, independence, opportunity, and challenge. What are the attributes of successful entrepreneurs? Successful entrepreneurs are self-directed, self-nurturing, action-oriented, highly energetic, and tolerant of uncertainty. What have modern entrepreneurs done to ensure longer terms of management? They have formed entrepreneurial teams with expertise in the many skills needed to start and manage a business. What is a micropreneur? Micropreneurs are people willing to accept the risk of starting and managing the type of business. Micropreneurs are people willing to accept the risk of starting and managing the type of business that remains small, lets them do the kind of work they want to do, and offers them a balanced lifestyle. What is entrepreneuring? Entrepreneuring is the establishment of entrepreneurial centers within a large firm where people can innovate and develop new product ideas internally. Why has there been such an increase in the number of home-based and web-based businesses in the last few years? The increase in power and decrease in price of computer technology have leveled the field and made it possible for small businesses to compete against larger companies regardless of location. LO 6-2. Discuss the importance of small business to the American economy and summarize the major causes of small business failure. What are small businesses important to the Why are small businesses important to the US economy? Small businesses create approximately 2/3 of new jobs in the United States. What does the small business mean? The Small Business Administration defines a small business as one that is independently owned and operated, is not dominant in its field of operation, and meets certain standards of size in terms of employees or sales, depending on the size of others in the industry. Why do many small businesses fail? Many small businesses fail because of managerial incompetence and inadequate financial planning. See Figure 6.3 for a list of causes of small business failure. LO 6-3. Summarize ways to learn about how small businesses operate. What hints would you give someone who wants to learn about starting a small business? First, learn from others, take courses, and talk with some small business owners. Second, get some experience working for others. Third, take over a successful firm. Finally, study the latest in small business management techniques. Page 167, LO6-4. Analyze what it takes to start and run a small business. What goes into a business plan? See the outline of a business plan in the chapter. What sources of funds should someone wanting to start a new business consider investigating? A new entrepreneur has several potential sources of capital: personal savings, family and business associates, banks and finance institutions, angel investors, crowdfunding and venture capitalists, and government agencies, and more. What are some of the special problems that small business owners have in dealing with employees? Small business owners often have difficulty finding competent employees and grooming employees for management responsibilities. Where can budding entrepreneurs find help in starting their businesses? Help can come from many sources: accountants, lawyers, marketing researchers, loan officers, insurance agents, the SBA, SBDCs, SBICs, peer groups, and even college professors. LO6-5. Outline the advantages and disadvantages small businesses have in entering global markets. What are some advantages small businesses have over large businesses in global markets? Foreign buyers enjoy dealing with individuals rather than large corporations because small companies provide a wider variety of suppliers and can ship products more quickly, and two, small companies give more personal service. Why don't more small businesses start trading globally? There are several reasons. 1, financing is often difficult to find. 2, many people don't know how to get started and do not understand the cultural differences in foreign markets. And 3, the bureaucratic red tape is often overwhelming. Key terms: business plan, enterprise zones, entrepreneurial team, entrepreneurship, incubators, entrepreneurs, market, micropreneurs, service corps of retired executives, SCORE, small business administration, small business investment company, SBIC program, venture capitalists. Critical thinking. 1. Do you have the entrepreneurial spirit? What makes you think that? 2. Are there any similarities between the characteristics demanded of an entrepreneur and those of a professional athlete? Would an athlete be a good prospect for entrepreneurship? Why or why not? Could teamwork be important in an entrepreneurial effort? Why or why not? 3. Imagine yourself starting a small business. What kind of business would it be? How much competition is there? What could you do to make your business more attractive than those of competitors? Would you be willing to work 60 to 70 hours a week to make the business successful? Page 168. Putting principles to work. Purpose: to assess your potential to succeed as an entrepreneur and to evaluate a sample business plan. Exercise 1. Go to bizmove.com/other/quiz.htm and take the interactive entrepreneurial quiz to find out whether you have the qualities to be a successful entrepreneur. 2. If you have entrepreneurial traits and decide you would like to start your own business, you need to develop a business plan. Go to bplans.com/sample_business_plans.cfm and click on Food and Beverage Business Plans. Review the sample business plan for Internet Cafe. Although the plan may not follow the same format as the business plan outlined in the chapter, does it contain all the necessary information listed in the outline? If not, what is missing? Developing career skills. Key: team, analytic, communication, technology. 1. Find issues of entrepreneur, black enterprise, fast company, and incorporated. Magazines online. Read about the entrepreneurs who are heading today's dynamic new businesses. Write a profile about one. 2. Select a small business that looks attractive as a career possibility for you. Talk to at least one person who manages such a business. Ask how they started it. Ask about financing, human resource management, hiring, firing, training, scheduling, accounting issues, and other managerial matters. Prepare a summary of your findings. Include whether the person's job was rewarding, interesting, and challenging, and why or why not. 3. Contact the Small Business Administration by visiting a local office or the organization's website at sba.gov. Write a brief summary of the services the SBA offers. 4. Select a small business in your area or a surrounding area that has failed. List the factors you think led to its failure. Compile a list of actions the business owners might have taken to keep the company in business. 5. Choose a partner from among your classmates and put together a list of factors that might mean the difference between success and failure of a new company entering the business technology industry. Can small startups realistically hope to compete with companies such as Apple, Microsoft, and Intel? Discuss the list and your conclusions in class. Career exploration. You can start a small business in any industry, like we've talked about a few throughout the chapter, but here are a few more with low startup costs to consider. Find out about the tasks performed, skills needed, and opportunity outlook in these fields in the Occupational Outlook Handbook OOH at bls.gov. Craft and fine artists uses a variety of materials and techniques to create art for sale. Craft artists create handmade objects such as pottery, glassware, textiles, and other objects. Fine artists create original works of art such as paintings and sculptures. Web developer designs and creates websites, responsible for the look of the site and for its technical aspects, may create content for the site. General repair service paints, makes household repairs, works on plumbing and electrical systems, and so on. Small engine mechanic inspects, services, and repairs motorized power equipment such as outdoor power equipment, lawn mowers, leaf blowers, and etc. Page 169. Video case. McGraw-Hill Connect. Cousins Maine Lobster from small partnership to successful franchisor. If you have a passion for what you do and want to share it with others, there's a chance you could succeed as an entrepreneur. As lifelong residents of Maine, cousins Jim Tiselic and Sabin Lomack were passionate about lobster and knew many people who were lobster people. When Lomack moved to Los Angeles, he quickly started to miss the shellfish from back home. That's when he and his cousin came up with the idea to open a food truck that served authentic Maine lobster rolls in California. Appropriately, they named their company Cousins Maine Lobster. Today, the company brings premium lobster rolls, lobster biscuit, and other tasty fare to hungry diners in the Los Angeles area, additional as well as 20 additional cities across the United States. Today, the company brings premium lobster rolls, lobster biscuit, and other tasty fare to hungry diners in the Los Angeles area, as well as 20 additional cities across the United States. As company co-founder Jim Tselekis explains, Cousins focuses on serving the nation's best lobster while providing superior Maine-inspired customer service. At the start of things, though, the Cousins didn't know anything about business, let alone one as challenging as a food truck. They learned as much as they could about food trucks and picked the brains of everyone they knew for tips about running a business. Finally, they felt confident enough to roll out their first Cousins Maine Lobster truck. Opening day was a true eye-opener for the Cousins as the line for lobster stretched as far as they could see. While both of them knew they had a hit on something big, they also discovered just how much they needed to learn if they were going to succeed. For example, prior to opening, that had not thought of the logistics and forecasting critical to their business. If they ordered too much lobster, it would spoil and they'd lose money. If they ran out of lobster, customers would leave hungry and the company would lose money once again. They needed an angel to throw them a lifeline. Fortunately, help came in the form of a sharp. Tselekis and Lomack were invited to go on Shark Tank, a reality TV show where entrepreneurs pitch their ideas to a panel of investors. Before their appearance, they studied the backgrounds of each shark they would face and prepare. They studied the backgrounds of each shark they would face and prepared for questions that could be raised about their business. After a tense negotiation, the Cousins secured a deal with real estate tycoon Barbara Corcoran, who offered $55,000 for 15% of their business. Most importantly, she served as a mentor to the aspiring entrepreneurs and advised them to consider franchising their business. Franchising allowed them to scale their business by replicating Cousins' Maine lobster food trucks across the country. Franchising, however, caused them to lose some control over their business. They also learned that they needed to choose the right franchisees in order to keep the business sustainable and healthy. Today, caring for employees and franchisees is a vital part of Cousins' culture. Both staff and franchisees are empowered to make their own decisions. Cousins Maine Lobster envisions a bright future with rapid expansion. Tselekis and Lomack believe this success will hinge on not compromising on three key things: quality of food, customer service, and treatment of employees and franchisees like family. Thinking it over. 1. What personal characteristics do you think helped Tselekis and Lomack succeed as entrepreneurs? 2. Why did they seek outside help to improve their business? What sort of help did they receive? 3. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of expanding a business by franchising? Page 170 and page 171 notes. Part 3, Business Management, Empowering Employees to Satisfy Customers. Chapter 7, Management and Leadership. Page 172.